I used to think I'm going to be a scumbag my whole life.
What is up, everybody? And welcome back to the Schooling Struggle Podcast. It is our belief that the only guarantee in life is that we are all going to struggle, and how we choose to embrace our struggles is what empowers us to become the best versions of ourselves. How is it going? My name is Pete, coming to you from Heartland, Vermont, in the middle of the winter, in my basement with my toasty hat on. And a really cool thing has transpired as the listenership of the podcast has grown over the years. And then I've been contacted by a number of my former students who are like, yo, Mr. D, I want to share my story. Any way I can come onto the pod and chat with you about it. And it's just been really cool to kind of set these conversations up with former students. So I'm super pumped tonight to bring on one of my former students, someone who I have a close connection with, and we've maintained contact over the years. I think he has an amazing story to share. So without further ado, I'd love to welcome Jalen Labonte on the show. What's up, Jay? How's it going?
Not bad, not bad. So my name is Jalen. I'm 21. I graduated in the class of 2021, and I'm super psyched to be on this show and share my story.
I know that you have a pretty amazing story, and I don't know most of it. I know where your challenges lied when you were in your high school years, but I really don't know anything prior to that. So if it's cool with you, the theme of the show here is schooling struggle, and it is navigating the challenges of life. And I know that you've been dealt many. So as we kind of set the stage for our conversation here, Jay, what do you think would be a good place to start for the listeners to start to hear and understand your story? Where would you like to start us off?
Well, first off, anybody that I went to school with that's listening to this, I want to apologize because I did a lot of not so great things when I was in high school, and I have been making amends to people that I come across. So if you're out there and I wronged you, I am very sorry for that.
That's amazing. And I think I'm getting that's part of your motivation for wanting to come on the show. I mean, you reached out to me and said, hey, Mr. D, I'd love to come on the show and share my story. And then we set this up. So I think this is part of that process for you, which is pretty cool.
My struggles have been around my whole life. When I was 13, I was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. And that really helped shine a light on why I acted the way I acted and did certain things. So for the longest time, I didn't tell people that I was autistic. So it was very difficult for other people to help me, but I was embarrassed and didn't want to admit that I had an issue, even though it's really not an issue. It helps me a lot. I got into a lot of trouble throughout school for many various things because teachers and other students weren't aware of how my brain worked or the reasons why I did things. And you had mentioned my first year at Hartford, I kind of disappeared for a while. So I actually went into DCF custody because I hit someone with a hockey stick and was removed from my home to get help.
Jay, I'm going to interrupt you real quick. Can you just explain to the listeners, in case they're not familiar with that vernacular, what DCF is and what the role in your life was at the time?
So DCF is Department of Children and Families. It's a subset of the Vermont government that deals with children and their families. So if you're homeless, you work with DCF. If you are in custody, which is not quite juvie, but it's like in between being home and being in juvie, you're going to be with DCF. There's many programs around the state to get whatever help you need, and people from all walks of life are there. And when you first get there, you go to this place called 204. I'm not going to tell where it is just for safety, but it's in Vermont, and it's essentially a holding facility. You go there until they find the right program for you. And unfortunately, they weren't able to find the right program for me because of all the things I had going on. So I sat in that holding facility for 6.5 months, and essentially just coasted through. There was basically three things you could do there. You could play basketball, you could eat, sleep, and argue. And towards the end of my stay there, I would call my mom every night crying, "Please get me out of here. It's just making it worse." I wasn't getting the mental health help I needed. Wasn't able to see a therapist. I wasn't able to see my friends in school. Um,
Can I ask you a
so
question?
yeah,
Um, I think it was during that time that I received some letters from you.
yeah,
Was it from that facility that you and I were writing letters back and forth?
yes.
Okay.
That was
And
that was that facility.
And then my other question is, if you just lean back and hit someone with a hockey stick, that isn't normally that single offense or that single action isn't enough to drive someone into a facility like yours. So did you have stuff leading up to that was like this that broke the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak? Did you have a
Well,
history of doing stuff, or was that how did that all transpire?
yeah, so I have had pretty severe anger issues most of my life. And the 2 weeks leading up to that event, the Hartford PD was at my house 6 times for screaming, breaking things, whether it was my mom that called them or the neighbors, because once they showed up, I calmed down. Like once I knew they were coming, I calmed down. And by the time they got there wasn't really much they could do. Except for on this one occasion, I got blackout mad. And it wasn't even anything important. It was probably my mom wanted me to do a chore or something, and I didn't want to. And I hit her boyfriend at the time with a hockey stick. And it wasn't hard. It was just like a get away from me kind of thing. But obviously, Hartford PD didn't view it that way. So that was kind of their final straw. We can't leave you here tonight because we're afraid you're going to do something worse.
Had you had a history of like getting in trouble or struggling in school like all along, like from like
Yeah,
elementary school up, like through middle school as well?
all the way through. I've been on a couple different kinds of medicine to help me. When I was in second grade, I spent a total of 13 days not in a suspension of some sort, in a whole school year, and that was a phase that the medicine that I was taking wasn't working for me. So I got taken or put on a different medicine, and it helps. It's helped the rest of my life. So to answer your question, yes, I've always had issues at school.
Were you always in a school with like the general populace, or were you sent to like behavior schools at any point along the
So
way?
in seventh grade, summer of sixth grade, I went to a place called Kern Hatton Homes in Westminster. And it's a private school, but not in the sense that it's ritzy. It's designed for kids that need more help and more support than they get in public schools. So I went there and I stole things and did stupid stuff to get kicked out of that school. So then I ended up going back to the school district I was in. I regret the decisions I made back then because that school was awesome. They got so many awesome opportunities. I missed out on singing the national anthem at a Red Sox game. They got to try on the World Series rings. They got to meet Big Papi and Dustin Pedroia and go in the locker room and all this stuff. So that is probably my biggest regret, missing out on that.
And you missed out on it because you were kicked out of the school before they went and did that,
Uh,
or you did
no,
something to get in trouble at the
I
time and they wouldn't allow you to access
yeah,
that.
I did something to get in trouble a week before, and they're like, "All right, you're not going. We can't trust you here, let alone in Boston."
Was it stealing
So,
stuff?
uh, no, I think I got into a fist fight with a kid. The way they solved that was they made me and that kid during school for the next 4 days sit in the same room together and do nothing but figure it out. And I'm actually still best friends with that guy now. He introduced me to his kid as his uncle. So it's interesting to me that even through adversity and physical altercations, you can have something good come out of it that
Yeah.
lasts years. Um, so after DCF custody, I made it back home like 3 days before football season started, my junior year. and I decided to go out for football because I had been told that it helped people with anger issues. I stole someone's phone who at the time I didn't realize it, but her brother was on the football team. So I
So you
ended
didn't
up
steal
getting,
you didn't steal a phone from the locker room or from a football teammate. You stole it like while you're at school.
yeah,
Okay.
and I was caught with it. So they ended up kicking me off the team that year. I didn't finish it, and I was not allowed to participate in any school sanctioned events, whether it be sports or clubs, for the rest of that year. And then COVID hit. So, what was that? April of
March of
20,
20.
March of 20. Yeah. And I believe I was in your class at that time.
Yeah. So if I may jump in real quick,
Yeah.
Jay, my memory of it all was I was still fairly fresh as a high school teacher, and I remember oftentimes if kids have behavioral histories or any type of non-traditional needs or accommodations, if they have them in school, we'll meet as a team, just a team of all the teachers that'll have that kid that semester, the kids, if there's a case manager or a special educator, the counselor, administration. Oftentimes there's all these acronyms that people outside of education won't know, but HCRS and all these different initiatives that are there to help support students, which is awesome. So you'll sit at a table with like 13 people, all who have either known this kid or are about to have this kid, and they just kind of share what they're allowed to share. Most of a kid's background is confidential, and I don't hear much about it. So I'm,
Hmm.
I'm learning more from you in this conversation now than any of those meetings. But they said that you had a history of stealing stuff, so to keep an eye on stuff in the class and don't leave anything, like anything out, and that you'd had some challenges behaviorally in school. And so I was prepared for whatever, and you and I just hit it off, and we were really really good all the time that you were in class. I never saw anything other than just a really nice, hardworking kid in class. The one day I come to school and you're gone, and I don't know what happened. And then I just get some contact that says he was removed from the home. He's at a facility. He may or may not return. And then
Yep.
6 months later, I get a response that says, "Hey, Jay's coming back." It's like they don't give us a ton of time. It's like Jay's coming back tomorrow. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Like I got to make sure I have enough equipment, make sure there's a spot in the roster. I'm hoping that he doesn't have, and not just you, but any student who gets reintegrated that doesn't have like personal beef with the kids that are in the class, which are now we're a semester removed from when you left, so it's a whole different mix of kids. And it went well for us the first time. And then you and I we just got even tighter that semester. And then you'd go to, I don't know if it was tech center or metals and ceramics, but you'd like come back and make me this stuff. And
Hmm.
like I'd need something made for the fitness center, and you'd take off and you'd fabricate something for me, and you come back and be like, "Yo, Mr.
Ah,
D, I got this." Like I still have those chains that connect to the bars that you made for me,
yeah. I was just
and
thinking
I still
about
have the
that.
fish hanging up in my room that you made for me. And you and I were really tight. And then we got to talking about how you're just like this crazy rampant reader of books, and you would recommend books to me, and it takes me a month to read a book, you'd read a book in a night, and like we were just having all these great conversations. And like I just always viewed you as just an amazing human being who's like crazy smart, and I actually didn't know about that autism diagnosis until right now. You just said that, but like it makes so much sense.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I hid it for a lot of years, and then I figured out that if people know, like now that I'm taking classes at CCV just online. And
College
I'm
baby, college
Yeah,
baby.
and I am a late starter, like other kids that I graduated with are seniors in college now, and I'm just starting out. But I wasn't ready to be in college at that point. But I've told my teachers, I've told my classmates, it's gone a long way. And I don't use it as a crutch so much as a hey, if I do some things that are a little bit different, this is why. I also want to say you were my favorite teacher by far, like ever. So you helped me through a lot. Um, just by being that positive role model. So then we go to senior year. Senior year was crazy. I mean, that was COVID was in full swing. We were there every other day.
With
I was
fully masked.
fully masked, playing football with a mask on. Not
Yeah.
easy. So that presented its own set of struggles because that was when we were first trying to figure out online schooling and Zoom meetings or Google Meets, but I am actually grateful for the way that my senior year happened, because if it had not happened that way, I would have graduated with the class of 2022. I would not have graduated that year. And it presented new challenges, but also once in a lifetime opportunities that don't happen every day. Football was awesome, even though a lot of the team didn't play because it was only 7-on-7. Um, but I was playing with JV and varsity, and so I had games 4 out of the 7 days a week. Uh, so I was doing a lot of traveling, a lot of playing, having a blast, and doing welding every morning. So I would be at the school pretty much every day anyway. My mom put 2,000 miles on her car that year, just driving me to and from school 2 to 4 times a day. Yeah. But I didn't ride the bus anymore at that point because my sophomore year, I didn't have a good experience on the bus because I had never ridden the bus before. So it was just different, and I was treated badly by the other students. So we're getting closer to the end of the school year, and it was getting harder. You start to realize, like, well, this could be the last time I ever do something like this. And we ended up losing first round playoffs, or second round, because we got the first round bye for football. And when we got back into that locker room, we were all crying. All the seniors, we were just like, this could be the last time we ever step on this field or step on a field. So that was difficult, but
Sorry to interrupt. You go from getting booted off the team for making a poor choice. You don't throw the towel in on playing football. You come back a year later and you forge these connections with your teammates to the point where the season ends and you're really feeling that emotional tug, and you're also sharing in that emotion with them. So they'd forgiven you from what you did. You all had moved on, and things were in a better place for you by senior year than prior to that.
to me they were cordial. And I mean, I always suspected there was some unspoken feelings still there because I never actually apologized. But the lady that I stole the phone from that got me kicked off the team, I ran into her dad at the public house one night, and I walked up to him and I say, "Hey, so and so." He's like, "Hey." I'm like, "Do you remember me?" He's like, "Yes, I do." I said, "I'm very sorry for the way I treated your daughter. It was unfair of me, and I just wanted to apologize." And he said, "Thank you. I really appreciate that." And he shook my hand. And that was the first instance that I had apologized for something that I had done in high school.
How did
Then
that feel?
it felt amazing. And then I did some work over the summer, and my buddy and I went to grab a beer after work. And her sister, who hated me, was the bartender. I'm like, "Hey, so and so, do you remember me?" She goes, "Yeah, you're the asshole that stole my sister's phone." I was like, "Yes, and I want to apologize for that." And so I apologized, and as soon as I apologized, her demeanor changed. Like, you could tell that she was grateful that I said that. And so we started talking about life and catching up. I go, "Hey, next time you talk to your sister, could you tell her I'm sorry?" She goes, "You can tell her yourself. I'll be right back." So I guess her sister was working in the kitchen. So she comes out. She had the mindset, bygones be bygones. It happened in the past, whatever. But I still apologized, and it felt amazing, which is why I wanted to start this conversation with an apology, because there's a lot of people that won't even talk to me because of things that I did. So I hope that maybe if they hear this, even if they don't talk to me still, they know that I am sorry.
Yeah,
Um,
that apology, I can see you're getting emotional. So how much this means to you. That apology is so crazy powerful. Like when we own our stuff, one of the things I say to my students is, I can never find fault in an honest human. I say, I'd much rather you say to me, "Hey, I didn't do that assignment because I was up all night playing video games and I just chose not to do it," versus come in and tell me like you didn't have time to do it because, and then make something up. Like I respect so much more. And there's been so many times in my life, especially when I was younger, where I just lied and whatever to try to get out of it rather than just owning it. And what I realized when I get a little bit older is, man, the respect that you garner when you just own it, regardless of what the mistake
Hmm.
is so powerful. And the fact that you are experiencing that and feeling that is really cool for me to see, even on your face in this conversation.
So after I graduated, I fell in with not a great influence of a crowd. Started smoking, started drinking, and
So you didn't do any of that during high school?
I mean socially, but not like as bad as,
Religiously?
yeah. My mom didn't meet, but reconnected with someone that she opened the Best Buy in West Leb with. Um, and I guess him and I used to be inseparable when I was a kid, like sub three. So then she went to New York because I was being stupid, going down the wrong path.
Oh,
One
sorry,
day,
sorry for clarification. Your mom moved to New York?
yeah,
Okay, and you stayed, and you
I
continue
was,
to live here?
yeah, I was
Okay,
in Windsor.
okay. So you're an adult at this point.
Yes,
Okay,
just kind of couch surfing and doing things to get money, things that I'm not necessarily proud of. Even after all that, and she invited me to Christmas, like to go to New York for Christmas. And a couple days later, I was really getting really close with Lyra. I had met her in custody. And so we kind of had that bond. And it took her passing to make me really take a step back and look at my life. Um, so honestly, the best thing that happened to me is going to New York. We were there for like 2 years, and then we moved back here,
with your mom.
and with my mom and her now fiance. And he just gave me respect and like helped me work through things because he did a lot of the same things when he was a kid. And I had never really had a steady male figure in my life, which, no knock to my mother, but she's not a father. I just didn't have that. And then when I finally did, he helped me work through a lot. Then we started going to concerts and we started meeting people at these concerts, like jam band kind of concerts. As I worked through stuff in my head, I found myself happier as a whole.
That power of connection is crazy. Like
Yeah.
when we start to feel valued, it's so powerful. And I think that I really suck at a lot of things that teachers are supposed to do, but I try to keep in the forefront of every interaction. Like, how can I make people feel valued? Because I love when people make me feel valued. And I can see from your emotional response right now that the power of that connection and the power of him making you feel valued is it's an overwhelming thing. It's a really, really powerful thing.
I strongly believe had he not come back into my life when he did, I would be in jail or dead right now.
Can I interrupt you one more time before you
Yeah.
still have your last train of thought? Can you just give the listeners a little context? I know the backstory, but I'm going to let you kind of go with it, and not long, just a little bit. You mentioned Lyra, and when Lyra passed, things changed for you. Do you just want to mention who Lyra was in your life?
So Lyra, I had actually called her and was talking to her, and I had to go because we were going out to eat. So after Christmas, I came back here and stayed with my grandmother for a little bit. And I walked to from Windsor to her dad's house, and knocked on the door. He wasn't there, so I left him a note. I just said, I haven't heard from Lyra in a while. Just want to check out, make sure everything's okay. This is my number. So 3 days later, he called me and he explained to me what had happened. And when I heard, I like just felt deflated. Um, and it was really difficult because people that know her know what she was going through.
No, so, but essentially, she was a close friend of yours around your age. She was a friend who passed away unexpectedly, and
Yes,
that had an impact on your life.
it had an impact on a lot of people at Hartford.
Yep.
She was very well known, and a lot of people liked her. But yeah, so music, the right music and the right people around you will change your life. So, one of my favorite quotes, and I wish I had known about it for my senior quote, because my senior quote was something stupid about paint drying, uh, is music frees or our soul from the dungeon of our minds. And when I first heard that quote, like it hit home because it's true. Since I was 18 to now, I've probably been to more concerts than most people will go to in their entire life. I've been extremely fortunate.
So that's been a turning point for you, like
100%. Yeah.
music and then the value of connection with certain people in your life. Those two things were kind of the changing forces for you to turn the corner and search for better.
Yes. And also my mom's fiance treated me like a man. And I had always been treated like a child. Uh so that was new and different. And but it's also the um do well and you'll be in my circle, do bad and you won't be around me kind of thing. So I just have that respect for him. I stop stealing. Sometimes I lie, but it's like, did you wash the dog bowl? I'll say yes, and when realistically it's most of the time it's a no. But for the most part I've stopped lying, I've stopped stealing. I've just been in a better headspace. I was able to have my first job opportunity over the summer, working as a stagehand. That was incredible. I got to meet some
In the music
awesome
industry?
people. No. Well, I mean, I guess like plays.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I ran a spotlight because I had had experience in ninth grade in Claremont doing that. I got to be through the whole production from beginning to end for 3 different shows. That was load in, so we had to build the stage because it was outside under a circus tent. I don't know if you know where Blow Me Down Farm is over
Yeah,
by
I
St.
do.
Gaudens.
Yep.
Opera North.
Long story short, but yeah, I for rent I shoveled horse stalls. I don't know if people that listen to this podcast know this, but when I first moved up here, I didn't have any money, and all I want to do is snowboard. So I was a snowboard bum, and I got a job teaching snowboarding, but it didn't pay enough for the bills, and I couldn't afford to live anywhere. And I was cleaning out dirty horse stalls right up there in that part of New Hampshire for the first year that I lived here.
I don't know if you have ever heard of Opera North, but that's where I was working. So
That
we
and that was
had
your first ever like
mhm,
steady job
yep, and
at
it
age what?
lasted 21.
At age 21, your first
Yeah.
job. Yeah. And so you do that through the summer.
Yeah, all things willing, I'll be doing it again next year.
Nice, dude.
But I met some awesome people. I reconnected with someone that I had seen in the halls of the tech center, but had never really talked to him because he was in business administration and I was in industrial mechanics and welding. And we became really good friends. We have plans to do some things when he comes home for winter break. And I told all of them, I'm autistic and sometimes it takes me a little longer to process things, but I understand what you're saying. I just got to process it in my own way. That helped things go smoothly. Now, that being said, there was some days where I just wanted to leave.
Welcome to the real world, man. Welcome to the
Yeah.
job.
So I was up the worst day. I was up on a ladder and I was using a big sewing needle and fishing line to patch a pop-up tent. And there was a big hole in it. So I was up on a ladder. It was windy. The pop-up cover just kept flying out of my hands. And then a hornet flew up my shirt and stung me 3 times on the stomach. That was almost my I'm walking home, I'm done with this moment. But I was like, I just need, I want to take my 15 now. It wasn't due for another hour, but I was like, I'll take my 15 now and then work through when everybody else takes their break because it's a union thing. So
Okay.
there's set
Gotcha.
breaks. And my boss was like, okay, that's fine. Go do what you need to do. Come back. So I went and sat on the stone wall behind the house and looked at the Connecticut River and the Windsor Covered Bridge and just fixed myself mentally, and then I went back to work.
Dude, that is so cool. As someone who saw what the 17-year-old version of you would have done in that circumstance, the growth is really, really cool.
And my uncle has traveled the world in the stagehand industry with Disney Magic, with the House of Dancing Waters in Macau, with so many different things. He's been all over the world. He got me the job because the guy that got him into the job was working there for load in, which is when you set up. There's load in and load out. That's when you set up and tear down, and then there's everything in between. So my uncle just threw my name out there. He's like, "Hey, my nephew's a hardworking kid. He picks things up fast, and he has a small amount of experience in this field." So he called me and he goes, "Hey, I have a job for you this weekend if you're interested." And I was like, "Okay." So I go there for the weekend, and it was just supposed to be 2 days. It was just supposed to be load in, and then 2 days turned into three, and then four, and then a week,
Nice.
and then the summer. It was super awesome. I got to meet actors from all over the country, some that I still talk to, and they're just super down to earth people.
So cool.
Yeah.
The
So,
listeners of this show know that I'm a huge believer in, can you work hard and treat people well? And if you can do those two things, man, the world's your oyster. These windows of opportunity will continue to open up to you. You know,
mhm.
if those 2 days you went there and you didn't work hard and you didn't treat people well, you wouldn't have been there for day three,
Oh, 100%.
which is
I
so.
wouldn't have been there for day two. The way that industry works is if you're not working hard enough, you will not be asked to come back.
You're
They
gone.
will,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I've gotten opportunities for other jobs at Lebanon Opera House, Claremont Opera House, places
Super
around.
cool.
Unfortunately, I haven't been able to do any of them because I've been in school and that's what I'm focusing on.
Yeah. So that's actually
Uh,
where I wanted to turn the conversation, if you
yeah,
wouldn't mind. So you graduated a little while ago. You didn't go straight into college from high school, but you're doing that now.
yeah,
And that's a pretty integral part of your life at this point?
yes. That
You're a
and my
you're a
dog.
full-time student?
I'm taking 3 classes, so technically no. I have to be taking four to be a full-time student,
Okay.
but scholarships and things only allocate for 3 classes. I refuse to be in debt this early in the game. I will not
Nice.
go. That's why I'm going to a community college. For anyone out there listening, there's something called the 802 Opportunity Grant, and they're amazing. That and the federal Pell Grant are super big parts of why I'm able to be going to college right now.
So cool.
Um, so if you're out there and you're listening to this and you're getting ready to graduate this year, or you've already graduated and you're thinking about going to college, look into it. It's out there. There's so many scholarships out there for so many different things. Oh, you know how to farm? Here's $500. Like it's crazy.
I love to hear that you're taking advantage of that stuff. That's super cool.
Yeah.
It's crazy how fast the time goes by. I have a couple questions for you as we kind of round the final lap here in our discussion. When you think about where you were when I met you and where you are now, how has your definition, Jay, of success changed? What is success to you now versus what you thought it would have been when you were, to say, 16, 17 years old?
Well, success when I was 16 or 17 years old was becoming a union welder, buying a house in Alaska, and just making stupid amounts of money. Now my version of success is exactly what I'm doing, making it one day at a time and just bettering myself every day. That's a point I try to make. I try to do something every day that, even if it's something small, like learn how to write a better email, like a more professional email or something. That's why I'm
So
going to
cool to hear
college.
you saying this stuff.
That's why I'm going to college, just
Dude,
to
it's the coolest
to
thing about being a high school teacher is to see the transformation in you all, and
yeah.
just to see it unfold over time is so special for me. It's
I
so
mean,
friggin' cool.
you're better than yesterday. That has
That's it.
sat with me since the first day I saw it, heard it.
Yeah, so
So
since you graduated, I created a class called Better Than Yesterday, which is a mindset class. It's not
that's
even taught in a
awesome.
fitness room. It's taught in a classroom in the school, and we do all sorts of weird mindset stuff. But it's super, super cool. Really cool.
Yeah.
Um, During our conversation, you made mention to being grateful for some of the challenges that you had. I think a big part of like leading a resilient life is recognizing the value in challenge. So, how would you put that into words for your life, Jay? Like, is there certain incidences that really sucked at the time, but you're glad you had to persevere through them? Like the old saying, you got to battle through the raindrops to see the rainbow type of thing. Where do you see that playing a role in your mindset?
So I believe firmly that everything happens for a reason. And even though life may suck at one time, life is like a pendulum. It might suck, but it'll get better. Then it'll suck, and then it'll get better. It's a balancing act, and the decisions that you make on a day-to-day basis impact what your pendulum is looking like at the moment. I have good days and bad days. But I am extremely happy and proud of myself for how far I've come in the couple of years 3 years that I've been out of high school. So I think that challenges, while they may seem unaccomplishable in the moment, keep trucking, keep persevering. You'll get through it eventually.
Opportunities for growth.
Yeah.
It's funny. I people always give me crap when I say this. It's like, man, that sounds so negative. It sounds so bleak. But I like to say that we as humans, oftentimes when things are rough, we say, things are going to get better, right? But when things are really great, we very rarely take a step back and go, you know what? Things are going to get worse.
Mhm.
And I think actually with that mindset, that's helpful for me as a reminder to be grateful now.
Yeah.
Like there's so
100%.
much that is going well right now that things are going to get worse. And that's just the reality of true life. But if I recognize that, I can take a higher level of gratitude, appreciation, and fulfillment now. And actually think with that mindset, I can lead a better life.
Yeah.
But we don't often say, oh, well, things are good now. Things are going to get worse, but they will.
I mean, it's as good as I'm doing. Like I said, there's bad days. Like, for example, our car, the transmission cable snapped earlier today. So we have to get that fixed. Like there's just unexpected events that just pop up randomly, and how you deal with those events really shows what kind of person you are, because a lot of people give up. And that's not me speaking badly about other people. It's just some people find it easier to give up and just accept what they have and think that it's not going to get better for them. But I think I'm a perfect example of that not being true. I used to
Yeah,
think
dude.
that all the time. I used to think I'm going to be a scumbag my whole life, but it just it and it's hard. You have to wake up every day and not want to be a scumbag, but it's it's more fulfilling. Like, for example, when I was able to apologize to the people that I wronged, that feeling that I got was fulfilling and just made me feel good that I was at a point where I could do that.
It's so cool. I like to say, I'm trying to live it. And do the hard thing now, and you'll live an easy life. Do the easy thing now, and you're going to live a hard life. And by living the easy life, I don't mean that things are going to be all roses without obstacles or challenges, but by the easy life is you feel good about who you are and what you're doing. When
Yeah.
you feel good about who you are and what you're doing, life is enjoyable, and an enjoyable life is much easier.
I
So do the
mean,
hard thing now to live the easy life.
I'm not I'm not rich. I'm not even, well off, but I have food on the table, I have a roof over my head, I've got my family, and I've got my dog. That's all I need. I'm perfectly happy with what I have. And yeah, struggles are always going to be a real thing. I feel like a lot of people forget that even the richest people in the world have struggles. They Money might not be one of those, but they just have different struggles that might be easier, they might be harder. You never know.
So true. Dude, as I'm looking at you right now, it's just like I got a big smile on my face. I'm so psyched for how far you've come. It means a world to me that you took the time and energy to reach out to me and say, yo, I want to come
Yeah.
on and share your story. And I know that there's been immense struggle in your life, a lot of which, we didn't dig into the nitty gritty details of tonight, but how you persevered through that stuff and where you are. And I like to say it's not so much about where we are, it's about where we're going. And I got full confidence in where you're going, and I'm super, super psyched
Yeah.
for you.
I reached out for two reasons. One is I wanted to apologize, and two, I wanted to share my story, and for that, even if it's just one person that hears it and it resonates with, that's one person that I may have helped. So I was not a very nice person for a long time. And I'm at the point in my life where I want to help people. I want to help them understand that your struggles, even if you think you're the only one going through them, you're not. There's other people that are going through very similar struggles or even different struggles, but you know.
It's awesome, man. So good. Thank you for making the time to come on and chat with me and to share what you've learned with the family listeners that listen to the show.
Yeah.
Good stuff. To our family listeners out there, we so very much appreciate your ears. We thank you for your time. We are incredibly grateful for your attention. On behalf of Jay Labonte, I am Pete Driscoll, and this is a School and Struggle podcast. I am out.